So it's been a few days since the Vendetta playtest officially started. I wanted a bit more time to check her out fully so I can properly gather my thoughts and make a good, well-researched video about her. At the start of the playtest, I thought she was pretty weak and didn't really stand out all that much because the amount of effort you have to put in to get a single kill is, it's a bit silly. But the more and more I played her, the more I realized that she's actually quite a well-balanced hero, and that's why I thought she was bad at first. Take note of the fact that I said quite a well-balanced hero though. There are some things about her that are absurd and straight up make her broken, just as there are some things that don't really work well about her, but I'm gonna go more in depth about that later in the video, so you're just gonna have to carry on watching to find out what I truly think about her. At first glance, she's nothing more than a Reinhardt with insane movement tech. Her melee is relatively strong, being around a 3-tap against the average hero like Ana or Soldier, but obviously using her abilities to get an extra bit of chip damage is gonna go a super long way. Think of it like how you'd play Doomfist. Doomfist deals most of his damage from his abilities and finishes heroes off with his primary fire most of the time. And the exact same thing applies to Vendetta, because her projected edge deals a bunch of damage at a range, allowing you to dash in and finish up on the kill. Obviously you can do this vice versa depending on whatever situation you find yourself in. If you're deep in the enemy backline, doing a few swings with your sword, and then obviously dashing towards your teammates to get healed up, might be a bit more effective than just blitzing in all willy-nilly. My point is that her abilities are very important and deal that extra damage that is absolutely necessary in fights where you're isolating specific enemies to sneakily pick them off. Playing the slow game genuinely benefits you and your teammates tenfold because it's better to stay alive and do damage over time than it is to dive in and do a big burst of damage, because that's going to get instantly healed up by the enemy supports that are playing something stupid like Kiri Wuyong or Ana Wuyong or some variation of Wuyong. He's still broken, but that is Vendetta's entire playstyle. She works a bit like Tracer, where you kind of have to lurk to get a kill by either, following up on the damage that your teammates have already done, or by sneaking around in the enemy backline to go one-on-one with the ranged DPS or supports. The problem is, she kind of falls over instantly if there's more than a couple of enemies on her at a time, because her block doesn't really do that much. Sure, it sustains her enough whilst you're waiting for your cooldowns to get her out of the fight, but that's if she's fighting enemies like Genji who don't really do insane amounts of damage. From what I can tell, the block is also countered by beams, much like Genji's deflect, so if the enemy team are running something like Symmetra Mei Zarya, you're gonna find it really hard to do anything against them, since they're just gonna be constantly beaming into you and wrecking you over and over again. She's quite a situational DPS because obviously she's not gonna completely demolish teams on defense, but she can be played defensively like you'd play Winston defensively, diving in and out where necessary and just kind of contesting here and there to keep things moving. Or prevent things moving, I guess, if you're on defense. Now, I want to talk about some of the things that definitely need to be nerfed or buffed, because whilst she is a balanced hero for most part, I do have my gripes with her. For starters, her block feels completely useless because whilst it functions a little bit like Doomfist's, where, it negates a tiny bit of damage, she's a DPS, and therefore, she's much squishier. So realistically, she can only block about a 10th of what Doomfist can before she doesn't benefit from having the extra health or the tank passive, even though half of her health is armor, but armor doesn't work as well as it used to a few seasons ago, because somebody had to ruin it for everyone else. I think if it works a bit more like Briggs' shield, where it has a health bar of its own, I know it's got like a resource meter, kind of like Roadhog's vape, I guess, it would be infinitely more useful, because at the minute, I'm literally only blocking to use projected edge, which is actually another thing I want to talk about. I think they should probably nerf this at least a tiny bit, because at the minute, a lot of players are abusing it to play at a range, which obviously I'm not against because it's an ability and it's there to be used. Duh. But it does quite a lot of damage and has an insane amount of range. I don't think the range is infinite, mind you, but it might as well be with how far you can fire it. It's relatively wide and goes through multiple enemies too, meaning you can quite easily get double and sometimes triple kills with one slash if you're lucky. The last thing I want to talk about is her ult, because it's stupidly strong. It might as well be renamed to Deadeye 2.0, because once you've charged it up to full, nothing survives it unless they have BAP Immo or Akiri Suzu.
Ult goes through Lucio beat drop. Are you serious? Oh, ready? Okay, ready? Alright. Alright. Alright, go for it.
Even then, the bastard thing has a seemingly infinite upwards range, meaning you could, theoretically, pivot to solo ult a Pharah, Freya, or Echo, just to get them out of the fight, because, you know, they're extremely annoying heroes to play against, if they're not banned. But that just about does it for this video. I want to close off by saying Vendetta is definitely a weird hero, because she isn't dog shit awful, but she isn't broken to the point where she's going to be in any of the meta team comps next season. At the minute, she's a fun change from the shooty side of the DPS role, but she ultimately falls flat when she isn't being played with a pocket, or anyone else that dives in with her. If I were to rank her from S to F tier, she'd probably be like a low C to a high D tier. You know, it's nothing special, and she should probably be swapped out for someone like Reaper or Tracer, but if they're banned, you could always try to get value out of her because, you know, she's decent on the dive, she's pretty strong. She'll probably just take a bit of getting used to, but for now, I wouldn't get into the habit of trying to main her. She's fun, but ultimately kind of useless compared to the rest of the hero roster. She's not completely booty cheeks, just a little bit booty cheeks in comparison to the other heroes. Like if you agree, tell me what you think about her. Yeah, that's all.